Today, we're diving into some really poignant, viral pieces of wisdom that have been making the rounds on Turkish social media. And these aren't just, clever one-liners. They're these powerful little aphorisms that get to the heart of some of life's toughest, most universal truths.
So let's just start with a question that gets right to it, shall we? Why is it that the lessons that change us the most, the really profound ones, so often feel less like growth and more like a betrayal? It's this gut punch feeling, a feeling I think a lot of us know all too well.
I mean, this one sentence just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? That incredibly frustrating, shared experience of being pushed and pushed and pushed away, only to be painted as the bad guy the second you finally walk out the door. That feeling right there, that's the stage for the whole journey we're about to take.
All right, first up, let's explore what we're calling the price of trying. This painful, kind of backward logic of what happens when we try just a little too hard to hold on to someone or something.
Here's the core of it. This paradox of being the nice one. You try to be kind, you try to be accommodating, you try to be understanding because you think you're making a relationship stronger. But so often it ends up doing the exact opposite. So how on earth does that happen?
Well, it's this really painful cycle, and it almost always starts with the best intentions. See, to keep someone close, you decide to be more understanding. You become more forgiving. You keep dropping the subject, just hoping, praying. They'll see your effort and change on their own. But here's the brutal twist. Your constant forgiveness, it can be misread. It accidentally teaches them that your boundaries are, flexible, that there are no real consequences. And just like that, the very fear of losing you, the one thing you were trying so hard to prevent, it just starts to evaporate from their mind.
And the result of all this? It's this incredibly confusing war inside your own head. On one hand, you can logically see what's happening. You see the manipulation. But on the other hand, there's this little nagging voice that just keeps asking, was it me? Did I do something wrong here? It's like the emotional ghost of trying way too hard to be the good guy.
Okay, next up, the unspoken goodbyes. Because let's be real, relationships rarely end with a big dramatic scene. More often than not, it's just this slow, quiet fade to black.
We grow up with stories of these cinematic goodbyes, these huge speeches, tearful confessions, all that drama. But the reality of an ending, it's usually so much quieter, and honestly, in many ways, so much more painful. It's found in all those tiny little changes that are screaming a truth that nobody is brave enough to say out loud.
The end is written in the silence between text messages. It's heard in a voice that suddenly feels cold and distant. You see it in eyes that used to lock with yours, but now they just look right through you. These are the unspoken goodbyes, the ones that don't give you any closure, just this heavy, sinking certainty. And that brings us to the real emotional peak here, accepting the bitter truth. This is that moment where we finally stop fighting all those unspoken signs and we start the really hard work of facing reality. Not just about other people, but about ourselves too.
And here we have to face a really stark, really bitter truth. When you're a person who operates from a place of empathy and kindness, you just naturally assume other people have that same conscience. But the biggest mistake, the biggest folly, is waiting for someone to feel shame when they don't even operate by your moral rulebook. You could be waiting a lifetime.
Accepting this means you have to turn the spotlight inward and face your own naivety. And wow, that is a tough pill to swallow. It's not usually some quick aha moment. It's a slow, kind of painful process of just digesting the fact that you saw what you wanted to see, not what was actually there.
The Turkish poet Özdemir Asaf actually gave this feeling a name, a brilliant concept, soğumak. It literally means to cool off, but it describes that profound, irreversible shift, that exact moment when you once found beauty even in their flaws, but now all of a sudden even their beauty starts to look ugly. It's the point of no return, a total emotional disenchantment.
This realization, it demands a really blunt kind of self-preservation. It asks you to perform a simple but powerful thought experiment. If this person wouldn't even notice if you were gone tomorrow, why are you giving them the power to hurt you today?
It's really a call to take back your emotional energy.
And all of this, it brings us to our final act, a quiet resilience. Because after all the hurt and after the acceptance, what comes next is this very complex, hard-won state of just being.
This resilience is all about contrast. On the inside, there's a storm, a hurricane of rage and grief, a primal urge to just break things, to scream. But on the outside, a newfound composure, a stillness. You're just sitting there, calmly drinking your coffee, managing the absolute chaos internally.
It's this profound disconnect, right, between the turmoil inside and the calm outside. And that last line, not everyone will understand this, that's everything. It's a quiet acceptance that this peace you found is yours. It's private. It doesn't need anyone else to get it.
This heartbreaking metaphor might just be the one that summarizes the entire journey. On some level, deep down, you knew. You knew the foundation was cracked, that the whole structure was doomed. But you invested in it anyway. You brought flowers. You tried to make it beautiful, hoping against hope that your effort alone could somehow stop the inevitable collapse.
So the house collapsed. The bitter truths have been swallowed. You're left sitting there with your coffee right in the middle of the ruins. And we end not with an answer, but with a question for you to carry forward. A question of resilience, and maybe even hope. After the collapse, what do you choose to build in its place?